So I think the giant misconception there is once I have a booking agent, things will start picking up for me. It's kind of the opposite. And I really like to empower artists to not say, how do I get a booking agent, but really ask the question, when do I need a booking agent?
Love
Because
that.
you're bringing on a team member that you have to pay. And so when you're looking at your growing business as a working musician, especially as a touring musician, as a small business, you don't bring on a team member until you need a team member, right? Because that's
Right.
bad business. That's wasting money.
Well,
So
unless you have a ton of runway, a ton of cash, and you want to essentially fail forward. Like we've seen bands do that,
sure,
right?
yeah,
We had a conversation, I don't know, a year ago on the show about the band Goose, who
hmm
funded their growth.
sure,
Like a Silicon Valley or anywhere startup
yeah,
would do. It's like, okay, we have, this massive uh, uh, you know, bit of capital. We are
capital,
going to
yeah,
use it to grow, and that's going to runway us all the way through, and we're going to make ourselves seem bigger than they are, and all that. Most
sure.
bands don't get to do it that way.
Well, I would even say because we're on a commission basis, you can't pay
Oh,
a booking agent to work for you. You can't. I mean,
right,
you
right.
can,
You could,
but be
sure, sure,
be very
yeah,
careful about the people that'll take a flat fee to grow you because it's not, I don't see that as a sustainable way to have an agent interested in growing you. If they're
right.
not making more along with you, and if they're not making less when you do less, then I don't think the incentive is right. So even if you were to hire a manager or a PR team on a capital basis where you're paying them a flat fee, booking agents don't even work that way. So we're
Yeah.
still not a team member that you can kind of pay until you make it type
Right,
situation.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, I'm sure you could find somebody, but the
Yeah, yeah.
general consensus, no, that makes sense. I've always in whatever kind of business I'm running, I always like it when I can have our goals and our success aligned
Yeah.
together because it incentivizes everybody exactly the right way. So, yeah,
Yeah. And I'll throw out some numbers for you because we do give these
great.
numbers to people that write in and we don't feel like, well, it'll likely not be that they're hitting those numbers. Because the other piece of a booking agent's job is to maintain relationships, and we can't do that ad nauseum to infinity, right? So we have to choose what type of venues we're maintaining the relationships with and festivals, which means not only sometimes genre specific. I call myself folk and Americana adjacent because I really love the edges of folk. Like Parsi Bland's not folk. Bella's Bartok, they call themselves like, foot stomping freak folk, but like they're just, here's folk and they're like right here. Sweet
Yeah,
Lizzie Project is a rock band. They used to kind of be folk a little bit, they're rock. Anyway,
sure.
but the relationships that I maintain are within that world, but it's also I maintain relationships from basically 200 to 500 capacity spaces. So if a band is coming in and they say, I sell 20 tickets or I sell 50 tickets in a market, I literally can't do anything. I don't even have the relationship with the venue that would help you get the show. So it's a mismatch,
Yeah,
and when even if you're shopping for an agent and you're trying to get an agent, a big piece of advice that I can give you is look at the other bands that are in your genre that are selling the same amount of tickets. Because again, for an agent, it's all about hard tickets for us. If you're selling 50 to 100 tickets in a market, look at the other bands in your genre, then look at who their agent is, and you'll have a good idea of who might actually be helpful to you. Because otherwise, if you're shooting in the dark, even if somebody loves the music, they might not be the right fit. So when I was saying the numbers that we normally give out are a minimum of $100,000 in tour revenue a year, just in tour revenue. This is not merch sales. It's not anything else. It's just what you're getting from the venues. So $100,000 annually. And then if you're looking at your home market, you're hopefully selling between 300 and 500 tickets in your home market. And then you're selling at least 100 tickets in 5 other markets. Now, we changed that a little bit in Canada because the provinces are so far apart that markets mean a bit of a different thing. But here in
sure.
the States, make sure that the markets are an hour and a half to 2 hours apart because if you've talked about radius clauses before, a lot of
Yep.
the spaces, especially in the Northeast, if we're talking New Hampshire and everything, they have everybody's so close together that the radius clauses are huge issues when you're talking about touring and routing and making a living in the Northeast. So your market should be at least 90 miles apart because a lot of times your radius clauses will be excluding anything within that 90-mile radius. So when you're looking at when a booking agent is going to be useful for you, those are some pretty good parameters as like a minimum. Then before then, a lot of the venues that you're booking don't even want to hear from booking agents. House concerts don't like dealing with booking agents. I'm a nice one. There are a lot of not nice ones out there. I can tell you a lot of agents make us look bad. But I can understand why a lot of these smaller places where the owner themselves are booking the show and then also running the sound and also running the bar and also paying you out at night doesn't want to deal with somebody that's sending you a 5-page contract and making you look through a writer, right? And it's just,
Fair.
it's reality. So not only are we not useful, a lot of times we can actually hurt your chances of playing a show if it's not the right venue for us to be reaching out to.
Oh, right. Yes, I totally get that. Yeah, it totally makes sense. A lot. Yep. The venues that want to have a relationship directly with the artist don't want a middle person in
They
there
do not.
getting in the
They do
way.
not.
Yes. Yes. No, I totally get that. I have a business where we represent a bunch of podcasts for their advertising. And there are some sponsors that the whole reason they want to advertise is to have the relationship with the host of their favorite podcast.
Yeah.
And they, when we step in and offer to help, we kill the deal sometimes. And so,
Hmm.
yeah. Yep. No,
Yep.
I get that. Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, to me, kind of demystifying that idea of like putting booking agents up on a pedestal, I'm really actively working to try to change that because we really don't, we're not tastemakers. I mean, I will say when we have relationships with festival buyers, booking agents can get a festival buyer to listen because it's a litmus test. If we're sending them a link, they know us, they know me, they know that I have good taste. They're gonna at least listen to the band. But that's as far as I go, really. If they say no, that's the end of that. I can't convince them otherwise.
Right.
But so that's as far as my taste making comes in because yes, I mean, or king making or whatever you want to call it. But
Sure,
we
sure.
don't we don't we don't do that. The other things like if you're looking at a Wasserman or a WME or something, yes, they can horse trade you and put you on opening and support tours. Absolutely. Does that actually help you make it? That is in question, right? That's a controversial subject. I'm happy to go into it if we want, but that's especially with boutique agencies, that they can't. That's not something that they're able to provide at all.